Interview. MNM versus Singularity, the last game of the day, week 4, day 2 of the summer split. We need to talk about this one. Even though memes aside, two teams struggling a lot, obviously. MNM with the hugest leads you'll see. They can get to the mid-game with like 50-0, but somehow disappears. What about Singularity, though?
I mean, you caught me off guard.
Unexpected.
That was a nice one, Arsham. You have to teach me on that one later. But I think for Singularity, obviously just getting one dub on the board can like change so much in terms of like chemistry and like just the environment within the team, right? And I think for MNM, on the other hand, they need to show now that they can actually start to close games out. Like I've been getting so irritated at them. Like I'm looking at you, Mishiku, my Swedish boy.
Yes.
Don't make me disappointed today. Like I need to see this.
For the love of League of Legends, close out your games. You cannot be 10k up, 6k up, 7k
Completely
up.
legal.
You know exactly how to close out a game. But also the point is, yes, we're talking about MNM and how far ahead they get. They take so long to try and close it, right? They go to 40 minutes plus. Do you know how long the death timers are? You can make no mistakes in the entire game. You make one, you're allowed one mistake. But if your death timer says 60 seconds, you're going to get very hard punished. And I think this is one of the reasons why MNM is also losing games. They're not allowing themselves to push too hard in the early to mid game. And when it comes to this late game, they know the decision making is a little bit shaky. If you do make that one mistake, you get punished. 60-second death timer, the other team can finish.
And I've said this before, beware of a man who has nothing to lose, and Singularity are looking hungry. So if you give them a bone, they're going to take your entire arm. Let's see if MNM are going to be punished on this game or not, as we are about to jump into the last champion select of the entire day of week 4, day 2 of the summer split. See, I'm learning. You taught me that one. You shouldn't say week 4, day 9. It doesn't work because the week only has 7
It would be
days.
day 8, but it's fine. It would be
Yeah.
day
I'm a
8.
weird person. Welcome to the Champion Select. There we go for the Northern League of Legends Championship. Last day of the day. 0-7 for Singularity, 1-6 for MNM. And the game they won, it was solid. The second game was really solid as well. But out of a sudden, woo, they're falling down. As we see Wukong getting banked. Karthus as well.
I'll
Again,
give you another hint. Ban Olibear. Leave the rest.
Oliver? Okay.
But I thought we were all agreeing now that Volibear is actually a balanced champion.
We have corrupted you, M-Test.
We have corrupted
You were so pure. in
One of
Division
us,
2.
one of us.
One of
Even
us.
he was really nice at the start. Now he's like, nah, F that.
Yumi as well. She's getting a lot of priority. Senna is going to be removed as well. But we still have the Zeri. We've seen Zeri in the middle lane today. I don't know if anyone else can pull that one off.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But it's still.
Yeah.
It's still a
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, Zeri, Lucian still up, Volibear still up. So many things you can handshake at this point. I'm seeing Ezreal being banned so much, and I think it's due to his durability down the bot lane when it comes to tower dives, right? We saw also Odi pull it out with the teleport as well. So even if you lose something, you can TP back into your lane and sort of catch up on whatever has been shoved underneath your tower, right? So a lot of teams just want to get rid of the Ezreal really quickly. Now the thing that is still up for grabs and available is that Zeri. Talia bans that we've been seeing a lot. So there's like Zeri, Talia is still up and available, Volibear is still up and available, but I think out of all these champions, Lucian is still up and available. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so I was just gonna assume that Singularity was first pick the Volibear, right? Because they did decide to ban the Wukong themselves. So now no handshake in that one. Kind of leaves me to think that it's gonna be a Zeri lock-in as well. But I can't do like trouble. Like I can't predict anything. I'm just done, man. So many OP picks are open, and they do this.
Diego is the
Okay,
new
okay, okay.
Corki. We talked about this.
We saw Sof play an incredible Lee Sin late game with MNM in his previous game.
He was good on the clear challenge as well.
The way he was finding kicks into the backline, crucially on the AD carry, were so mind-blowing, honestly. So to see him fall back onto something very passive and comfortable, I would say, as the Viego, kind of pains my early game aggression hard when Volibear is in. Yes, the Fiddlesticks has been locked in. It's a double AD lane. Probably the Lucian could also go mid. Gangplan's gonna go top. And then you have a Fiddlesticks. Now, wouldn't you want to have a Volibear into Fiddlesticks to stop him from farming, Ashram?
That makes a lot of sense, but now I want to see a Nocturne in the mid lane alongside with the Fiddlesticks. You turn off the lights.
Oh, are you Vedius?
Yeah, Vedius legit. Vedius cosplay.
I work with Vedius in the
Can I say? I mean, actually, I would love to see it as well. I'm gonna leave you at that. I think what's really interesting about this is, as you mentioned, Taber, right? Now they picked the Viego, so leaving this fiddle open. I mean, and up for grabs. I mean, Pawp can really just be chilling in this early game, I think, with this prior lane that it has already in the Lucian. The Kayle as well. Is that a hover?
No, that is...
Oh, that's a lock-in.
That
is a pick.
I'm just super confused at this point.
Okay, so it makes sense here, right? Because Kayle kind of gets like a, not a free lane versus Gangplank, but it's one of the easier methods to try and get your Kayle to scale into the late game. And also you have so many build paths. You can go to the AD, the AP, the mix as well. So you can do whatever you want on the champion. Since you've seen the top side of the map pretty much, the Fiddlesticks together with the Gangplank, you know you can sort of play into that. I feel like they must have a plan for the Fiddlesticks since they're picking the Kayle, because it's kind of like scary and easy to dive if you're a Kayle pre-6. You have the Fiddlesticks right there, the fears, the slows, the barrels and everything. It could be a potential target for dives. So I'm assuming they have some sort of disruption plan for that Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's just hope for MNM's case that that's the plan, right? I mean, just looking at this as well, with Esther being banned, they don't really have that much like mobile AD carries on the table still. Saya is still open, as far as I can tell, and that could be one of the picks, right? But as you mentioned, the Kayle coming in, you could just protect your AD carry, right? But then when I look at Kayle as a champion again for Kalem, he surely is just going to want to split push this game when he against a GP. Oh, I got that one as well, actually, the Swedish accent for the GP.
You did.
So I'm just happy about that one. But would just assume that this is just going to be a fourth pick for AD carry on Michigan, right?
Rage. Victor has been bad now. Big rage right there, because it just fits the theme, right? You want to scale with Kayle, you want to scale with Viego, you want the hard shove in mid lane. Corki is still up for grabs if you want to go for something like this. But as for the bot lane of the map, I would go Samira right here. You've got the Nautilus, you're playing into the Lucian, just pick Samira and go all out on them. The most they can pick of you, like, they're literally forcing them. Yes, they're forcing them to pick the Nami because they haven't banned the Nami here. So they're like, if you want to play the Nami Lucian into us, we're going to play Samira Nautilus. Now what they can very easily do is pick the Braum right here, right? And completely destroy the Nautilus in lane.
Yeah, I mean, that would be another pick, right, for Person, who is obviously debuting this week on Singularity. Just saying this again, I think even if they would pick Nami, though, it's still like a really hard matchup for Michigan and Shredder. I mean, it's not an easy one for sure. If Nautilus can land some hook. Wait, that's an MF lock-in? Is that going to be the Lucian?
It's a Lucian mid lane. Okay. And I think that makes sense because we have double AD lanes for Fiddlesticks, but now we have triple AD lanes for Fiddlesticks. But this is pretty good because Fiddlesticks does want to be the only kind of damage that's AP in the team. Now, the Braum makes sense. It could also be a misfortune mid lane if they want to swap it like this, because it makes a lot of sense together with the Braum. But Braum is absolutely fine towards the bot side of the map. It really pairs up well into the Nautilus, which is a melee support, and also Misfortune is really good into Samira because he gets to shove in the lane really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw on I think it was on the first week when Michigan was playing Samira, this guy was completely popping off. Just picking the Braum now is going to kind of negate a bit of that pressure that this Samira Nautilus has. Is this going to be the Swain lock-in as well for the final pick of the game? It is. So
I mean, it's Chimera.
It is Chimera. I would probably expect the Swain to be picked a lot more when you have like a lot of melee champions. This time around, it's literally only Gangplank, the Fiddlesticks. I mean, guess going melee, but I'm a bit confused about this one, not gonna lie.
Just gonna say, if we get to 25 minutes, it's going to be a bloodbath regardless of
I'm just saying, if I was playing Katarina and I altered into the Singularity composition, they would all go Pawp.
Oh, yeah.
They're all so very squishy, and they're only reliable-ish engage, with a bunch of quotations to put around my reliable, is the Braum ultimate. So I think Pawp is going to be responsible in trying to find Fog of War flanks with his ultimate to potentially start fights, and then you're going to have Tatui bringing out the Cannon Barrage to sort of separate the fights, right? And once you've isolated someone, that's where the Misfortune shines through, that's where the Lucian shines through as well. Other than that, I feel like it's a pretty difficult composition to play, man. Like, your Lucian's gonna have priority, your Misfortune's gonna have priority, you have the Gangplank's gonna have priority, and you're like, I have all these 3 priority lanes, but I kind of want to farm till level 6.
It's a battle between the team that is in last place and the team that is still trying to recover. When they get the leads, they could get the game rolling for them. This could be a good comeback for MNM. So without further ado, we're going to toss it to the last. Oh, that's Prime League. Okay, move on, casters. Initialize in Nightmare.
I was attempting to lean on Alex, and he's quite a lot taller, and thank you, appreciate that. That's actually very constructive. I don't really know what happened to Ashram, but there was Prime League involved, and clearly they've given
Always a horrible nightmare.
It's a nightmare, Prime League.
We have a nightmare in the jungle, of course. We've got that demonic Fiddlesticks. Now, I have cast...
Segue.
I have cast Pawp's Fiddlesticks a lot too.
I wanted to
Every
ask you about this. I
time-
assumed you
This is the
wouldn't.
thing. Because I've cast Pawp for a number of years at this point through the university scene, I've seen a lot of his crazy stuff. I've seen a lot of his stuff in the which has succeeded in previous leagues that he's been in. He's talked to me a lot about how this pick has been strong situationally for a while. I think with 3 winning lanes, Singularity actually have some routes into this game which look pretty promising.
Well, we've got to get our own route into the game as well. On to the Rift we go.
Casters, start the game.
Boop, boop. I pressed the button. There you go, it's happened.
Fantastic.
Prestige Misfortune as well, with the golden candlesticks absolutely everywhere. Final game of the day here today. Singularity versus MNM. On paper, perhaps not the most exciting, considering standings, but at the same time, the amount of stakes in this game, when both teams are towards the bottom of the tables and really want to start picking up those wins if they want to do things like avoid relegations at the end of the split. This has so much
Well,
import.
Spiky stood outside the brush, catches wind of them there. They're going to flash over for it. Currently, lands that make it rain onto all of them. And actually, this is going to be the Comet Misfortune. And I'm looking over at MNM. There aren't huge amounts of abilities that can get onto the MF and cancel that ult if you position well. I think Spiky and Pawp, if they manage to combo up, there isn't a huge amount which MNM can really say about it if it's in the right area. This is a lot about objective setup for MNM if they want to survive that combo. I think if particularly Sof manages to, or of course Shredder as well, if he's decoupled from his lane partner, if they manage to get out onto the map and unsettle one or a couple of these Singularity members, that's where things start to turn in their favor. But if they allow all the pieces of Singularity's crazy team fight burst combo to come together, that's when it gets dangerous for them.
If the Gangplank, the Fiddlesticks, the Lucian, the Misfortune
Walk into a bar? Is that a joke?
all get to press R, then
They walk into a bar, it explodes.
Exactly, that's the idea. Probably because it's full of like barrels and explosives.
Okay, so this is the thing you do on
yes.
Fiddlesticks, obviously. You get to leash a lot of camps next to each other. Pawp doing the double super leash. Oh,
You
that's
missed the
kinda
reap. That's a bit sad. It's okay. He'll still be just fine. Bountiful Hardest gives a lot of.
Yeah, he knows we've seen that.
Call him out. There it is.
He knows the tech. Just didn't execute it on quite well. But still, Fiddlesticks is not getting invaded. Still has pushing lanes on the top side of the map. Gonna be a couple of seconds slow on their clear, which is a little sad. But still, you see the logic. And Fiddlesticks very happy to just clear through these camps, hoover them up like a Nunu from not League of Legends, the one from Teletubbies. So
Yes, there is definitely an element of that. I grant you the W for Fiddlesticks is a little bit Hoover-like.
Yes.
Consume
Which jungle camp would be tubby ghosted? Okay, right, this is really...
Raptors, as with everything else. I don't know how niche Teletubbies references
Well, I know that
are.
SK are planning on doing a particularly cursed piece of content with it as a central theme.
Okay.
See if...
Spoilers.
Speaking of curses and haunting, Sof is haunting this jungle. Maybe has a chance to... Oh gosh, this is really
Dangerous.
sad.
Pawp's going to get stunned and taken incredibly low. Visions of Empire force to flash. Does still have the reap, potentially smite on the Krogs. Pretty good. And now, actually, the danger's coming back as the Bountiful Harvest causes a lot of HP coming straight back through. Gets onto Pawp, but can they get the kills? Still chasing him. Can't quite get it. The door goes up. He's still alive. But they're now between 2 turrets. Mishigu and the rest of MNM need to extricate themselves. Get stunned. Mishigu's surely going to fall. There's a tower shot coming. He will die, and the double buffs get transferred to Spiky.
So... This is obviously pretty crazy. We were like, pushing lanes from Singularity. Maybe this Fiddlesticks can survive the early game. But when this happens, Swain's actually got control of this mid-wave. Pawp being a couple of seconds late on the clear leads to this. This is what it leads to. Trying to do that 6-clamp clear, doing the super leash effectively, where you're using multiple camps to use that big drain function. Sof gets the Krug steal on that, but even with this, MNM, I think they're a bit emboldened. They kind of bait themselves into a bad fight. So many summoners use, don't get away with the double buffs. At least Sof gets to walk away and continue to keep up that red buff, but wow, that's really quite unfortunate for MNM after that looked to be pretty a one-and-done trade.
And just look at all the summoners burn. Everybody not named Caleb on MNM burn at least, well, burn both summoners, actually. So huge loss of those additional spells to their name. Pawp gonna try and steal as many as those he can. Doesn't get the big chicken there, but does continue to try and be as aggressive as possible here. And actually, it's a game that is a little bit in favor of MNM in terms of the gold, but honestly, that play could have gone significantly worse for either team there.
Yeah, and Obviously, a large part of that was the mid priority coming in from MNM. Now we do have this new player Mirza coming in. He's going to be part of the spotlight again, walking up into never move range. Not going to get caught by that, but we did talk about how dangerous Sof and Shredder can be in this game if they're decoupled from various lanes and get to freely roam across the map. Mirza manages to stay safe there.
Does indeed. And we'll check in with some of our NLC pets. That is utterly adorable.
Oh, someone.
There's, of course, someone throwing this one out, hashtag NLC at home from a few days ago, watching with a doggle on the lap. His bed in bed is relaxing. That it is very adorable indeed. We could definitely use some more hashtag NLC.
The great thing about the NLC is that, again, we get to so many people that we see kind of tweeting these things we actually know.
Oh, exactly.
Someone's a good friend of ours.
Absolutely.
So hope they're having a good time. And, of course, those of you out there who are watching alongside us, absolutely let us know how you're doing as well, because it's great to build this community up and celebrate our regional League of Legends to see how you're all doing back at home.
Yeah, I mean, like, I need to see more incredible home pictures and pets if possible. Person does get hooked up, but has a door, and therefore that blocks a lot of the damage.
Yeah, Braum has a pet door.
Pet door. It's like a pet rock, but more extreme.
I've seen that SpongeBob episode. I know what happens.
I'm trying to remember what else happened in that one anyway.
Well, there's a race between pets, and the rock wins.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's throwing back to my childhood there is Alex offers 10-year-old, 15-year-old spoilers. Probably a longer. I'm not quite sure how old.
Hang on, at this point it is completely safe.
Yeah, exactly. You're fine. You're past the statute of limitations on that one. Either way, 1-on-1 scoreline, seeing a little bit of pressure going on. But honestly, the later this game goes, MNM with the Kayle, with the Swain, with Samira, not exactly unhappy if it goes late.
So it starts to be a question of not whether you can do damage to... So, to say another topic which I bring up all the time, scaling isn't hitting training dummies. It's not saying, I do 1,000,000 damage, because if that's the case, Kayle would be picked every game without fail. Now, it is meta, but there are plenty of champions where if they're free hitting, they do incredible amounts of damage, but are they going to function? So let's look at this game, because I look at so many of these champions, lots of low-range champions. I know that when the Swain was locked in, particularly MTS was saying, oh, there aren't that many melees. Swain's not going to be part of this fight, though. Bot lane's starting to get a bit weird.
Damage, and Shredder and Sof just say, yeah, we can't help you there, you're done.
And actually, they call off the play on bot side, too. Sof and Shredder go, well, that's just dead, that's just gone. Mishigu left alone in lane and gets punished for it. It's going to be killed to the side of Singularity.
And a Fiddlesticks pulling off a gank pre-6 is not good news, generally speaking. Mirza trying to back away. There's a Hex Flash over the wall, but Shredder's not really going to be in range. And honestly, coming into this game, we had a lot of praise for MNM. And I know you in the pre-show were saying, look, this does not look like a 1-in-6 team. They've had some really good games. Hell, they had a fantastic comeback against Bifrost on Monday. But the problem is they've not been able to convert those mid and late games into
almost
wins.
Come back. They did come back. They just didn't win.
No, exactly. They came back and then didn't come back again. Yes. It's a polite way of saying they kind of threw it, unfortunately, at the Nexus. And as it stands, this game is another one of those games where it's a little bit slow in the early game, which is not necessarily the best thing for them. And they will be wanting to get this win here against Singularity. As it stands, despite some good performances, there's still only one win ahead of this team, who, by a lot of margins, had a lot of work to do, really.
Sof walking off, spotted by Person, gets tagged.
Oh, enough of those narratives. Sof flashing, does get stunned into the culling, and Mirza steps into the mid lane, rolling, gets himself a kill.
Look, at the end of the day, MNM have had pretty good mid-jungle control so far. Sof pushing into the enemy jungle, and Camera, when they get to push in, putting wards in the bot side jungle. Bot side of the map, awesome, great, loads of control. Why are you walking into top river? That's the area you don't have control over. And Person in the right place at the right time. Mirza gets onto the board in terms of their own kills too, and MNM really punished for that overstep.
Camera and Mirza switch sides on the Rift briefly there in the lane, but they've given Pawp a lot of time to get a hold of this. Rift Herald again to continue with some of this pressure.
And also gets those first tier boots back as well.
Yeah.
This is where you start to, particularly, it kind of reminds me of the Diana kind of syndrome from Spring, where you get to a point where you get your first back and then you just explode jungle camps. They just go, they just disappear, which is why MNM taking the chance while they know that Herald is down to at least deny some of those resources from Fiddlesticks. Of course, Pawp, no stranger to these farming AP champions, played that a lot on the likes of Karthus, and this time actually seems to be in a position to do a decent amount of work but is still being denied resources by MNM.
A lot of wards into his red side jungle as well, so he's going to come in here and get the hold of the Krugs, but I think he's going to be a little disappointed to realize the rest of his camps down here are gone. Miscu and Shredder, though, currently shoving up, might actually be at risk here.
Oh, do not fight
Crow
this,
Storm.
MNM. This is the point where you need to have very good jungle tracking. They need to play by process elimination, know which jungle camps are up, and then play around their vision. They've done 2 parts of that. They know which camps are down on red side now. They have a lot of vision with it. MNM, if they play around their vision, as opposed to that top side pick, which they didn't do so, they should be fine.
Oh,
They're using
smart.
that Swain W as well to add to their efforts.
They've got 3 control walls, 1 behind the red buff, 1 in front of the red buff, 1 in the bush going into lane. But Michigu is being forced to stay so far away from these minions. That wave is in an awful state for them.
6 from Braum now, 2 flash on there. That's some decent hard engage. It's not the most reliable, but flash Braum ult in your face is not something you particularly want to be eating either way. So, MNM leaving themselves in a position where they don't necessarily know where Pawp is, and they have to play respectfully. Even though Pawp is losing out on some time, again, most of the camps are down. You're effectively free to make a play here. I know it's a lot of time spent, but it's still, I mean, if those camps weren't going to be respawning anyway, whatever, right?
He's still just outside of range of that control, I think. Not quite sure, because he's dead now. I've never been the best at reading those ward radiuses again. Why I'm partly
This
not
is the Fiddlesticks spot.
And
You
this
see
is
that
the
camera
Fiddlesticks
again, spotting out a lot of stuff here. That's the blast plan hit. They know that the play's on. Stacked wave is absolutely
Here comes everyone
huge.
else. Camera.
Can't stay under this turret.
Cameron Sof on their way, they need to run. Out comes the harrowed path, but it costs them some plates. Mishigu and Shredder play it safe, but once again, they're zoned away from a lot of that wave, and the Dragon Spawn, they'll take that instead.
So they use the stack wave to hold the enemy lane under turret. But what are they actually going to get from that? Are they going to be able to respond to this? Dragon's falling fairly quickly, but MNM are going to be in time to respond.
Culling to try and keep him away from the control board. That absolutely works for now. He might head back and does so, but it keeps him away from anything resembling contesting that dragon, stops that dragon stacking. And Pawp has got the Herald in inventory still, will need to lose it soonish, and has fallen behind that tempo as a result of that play. Remember, that has given Sof some time to get some more camps. He's up about 15 CS or so
Well,
now.
you say that, but I mean, top side camps are still up. I mean, what you're doing is delaying the next respawn of them because you spent so much time on bot side. The problem is, can you even contest these bot side respawns? That's really annoying now. They've basically lost all of them on cooldown. Bot lane's not roaming from Singularity. I wonder if that would have been a play for them. I think that Singularity haven't done a good job of really protecting these jungle camps. There's been a bit of a lack of awareness of when they've been going down and the information to contest them. MNM on the other side, being very methodical about, yeah, okay, let's deny this jungle form. We know this is important in this game. In previous seasons, it's been more important. Think back to Season 10, farming junglers and camps were so important. The amount of XP and gold they gave were an objective all in themselves. Less so nowadays, but when you have farming damaged junglers, they become that more important again.
Caleb now potentially the recipient of a little gank action. Still waiting as we see a little bit of the goal. What are you spotting out here?
Spotting Nautilus on the top side, and we were talking about how Singularity's bot lane hadn't really moved to deal
He's
with
going.
that
They
right now.
know.
He's going.
They're going to try and stop him though. There's so much damage. He's been silenced. Does manage to get Divine Judgment out. Pawp with the Crow Storm still rolling, doing a lot of damage. Just go golden. But everybody's here. The cannon barrage afterwards forces Pawp to flash away. Sof gets the kill. And the first Crow Storm is heavily punished by MNM.
So Singularity don't manage to defend the bot camps. They don't manage to get their bot lane towards the top side when the play happens. And now they lose their patience. If they'd been patient, they could have just said, well, we'll just try and group up a
Don't even
little
get the
later.
Herald out.
They pulled that trigger too early. That Herald, as you were rightly saying, didn't actually manage to even get pulled. The Singularity, again, just really struggling with this cohesion. MNM punishing them for their impatience.
Camera, though, might now be in danger. Has got Ghost, has got Flash, may need to use one or the other, but now being jumped on, so much damage will probably be flashed on afterwards. Rooted in place into the culling. He's got a Ghost, but nowhere to go. Throws up the Demonic Ascension and gets murdered by Mirza.
Okay, well, they find something now. They've lost a bit of pressure on top side, losing some vision after that ill-fated top lane ult, but at least the Lucian is starting to get rolling. I'm looking at a lot of players on the other side that can get burst out by a fed Lucian. Even the Swain not going to be too happy with that, likes of that Lucian running towards them. But now, even with your AD carry starting to get fairly buffed up, what can they do with this?
Matsui now going to try and take this option to get some damage onto Caleb. Remember, that ult is down, so it takes a lot of damage back, but now being traded back onto with the Starfire Spellblade and some Radiant Blasts. But of course, there's some Origins inventory to make sure it's still a relatively even trade as it stands.
So Caleb is not going to go for the crit Kale. This is going to be Nash's Tooth, more AP damage, more magic damage, more scaling on stuff like their shields and their very big burst damage if they turn around with their abilities. But It's not going to be completely auto-attack centric from this build. Let's track that as the game goes on. Once again, these bottom camps have been such a big target for MNM, and Singularity are not in position to defend them. Bot lane, we're pushing in towards it, but when you get control of bot lane, you get control of mid lane when you've just gotten kills, you need to do something with it.
Yes.
The next step has to happen. And it can feel a little harsh kind of talking about this, but this is a 0-7 team. They're sat here, and these are simple things. They need to be able to use this prio at some point. And it feels like right now, they're not really aware of, what they're losing in terms of these smaller camps.
To quote one Mark Cadrell Lamont, jungling is a team sport. You don't get to do it by yourself, especially when it comes to these kind of...
What team sport would it be? Would it be handball? Do you know much about handball?
No.
I don't, which is
So,
why
no,
it's a bad idea for you to mention it.
I could make up some rules about handball and pretend that's what it is. So I believe handball
Right.
is like dodgeball,
Okay.
but with camouflage, and people don't go out after being hit by one.
It's like, you walk out of the house. Handball!
Handball, exactly.
So what's
And
gonna
really
happen
what
in
it is,
this one?
the ball is attached
That's
to
what
your
Pawp
hand.
is actually trying to do
It's like
right now.
aggressive slapping.
Maybe that's what Pawp's actually trying to play. Maybe that's why it's the team jungling sport, 'cause he's trying to come out of that camouflage and see what he can do with it.
Shredder taking a lot of damage, but there's the glacial fissure afterwards. Demonic Ascension comes through, but it's not actually getting that much down as Pawp trades it straight back with the ultimate of his own. We'll get the Herald as well, might likely die afterwards, does so. It is a 2-for-1 in favor of MNM, but the Herald goes the way of Singularity.
But if you're, again, fighting for this, where's your misfortune? They have 2 kills. You need that ultimate around this fight, and it feels like Sof has been picking up so many pieces from what Singularity have put towards them. Shredder a little bit of an ill-engaged, ill-advised engage at that point, but even with that, still turns around a little bit awkwardly. They just kind of allow Fiddlesticks to just jump straight into them. This hook here from Shredder, there's no follow-up. Kaelim's not in position. It's a fantastic brawl ult to delay the backline from really getting across what they wanted to do, and that means that they lose themselves their support. Of course, the play does go in their favor outside in terms of the kills. They lose that Herald, though, which is a little awkward to deal with. If they manage to actually put that down this time, start opening up that map, get some vision, those jumping over the walls, become a lot more dangerous if Singularity pull the trigger.
Call it out here as well. That is a Trinity Force in the inventory of Viego. A little bit of an unusual build. We've seen a lot of Divine Sundra into slightly more bruisery builds, but there is some room to go things like the Trinity Force or Healthful Crit has often been a solo queue special for Viego players.
Yes, Hag, do you remember, there was a really fun build where you would see Prowler's Claw, Viego. There was an NA Academy player that would do the Viego slide. I forget their name. If you go ask, I think it's Cubby on Twitter. He talks about this a lot. Love Cubby, great guy. And he speaks about this player with great fondness because he just go Prowler's Claw Viego, just like one-shot people with unavoidable one-shot combos. But it's been a while since we've seen that. And the Triforce is... I actually can't remember the payoff you get from this, but of course, in terms of your consistent damage, Triforce tends to do a fairly good job up until the hyper late game when the percent pen from Sundra becomes really, really nice in terms of the raw stats you get.
It does indeed, but right now, Mirza being potentially chased down here. Sof just pops the Spectral Maw, and I don't know whether you want to be here, dear old Mirza. There's no teleport to support him. There is a Cannon Barrage up shortly.
Living up to his name and rolling a natural 1.
Oh, very good indeed. How do you want to do this, he asks. But I'm not quite sure whether he's Matthew at this point, doing his absolute best to 1v3. This bot side play does eventually fall, and there's nothing you can roll there to survive that.
Yep. How do you want to do this? Apparently wants to try and all in and find something. Can't find enough. There is the Herald. Actually, this is a really good position from Pawp. See if he's actually on vision, but one of the dangerous things from MNM is if they quickly move from one area of the map where they have had their vision to, as we saw earlier, to areas without, you're at risk of having huge turnarounds. If you don't catch the Misfortune on ill-advised skirmish, they get to wall. If you don't catch the Fiddlesticks off of vision, they get to lots of things which can go wrong. And of course, the Cannon Barrage coming in regardless of where you end up has to be tracked very, very carefully. So Shredder going in to clear out this vision. Important stuff for MNM. Can't really let that slip.
Quick note as well, according to Jojo, who of course works for Singularity as one of their team managers, was noting Tatooine's birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, really?
And it would be a wonderful way to celebrate, I'm sure, for Singularity and Tatooine in particular, if they can get their first win here in summer.
That'd be really cool. Because we know that this Singularity bunch is quite tight-knit, from what we've been told, even with the loss streaks that they've had to endure this year. heard some very heartfelt stories about how, you know, this is the team, this is the squad that they wanted to be with. Let's see if they can achieve something on the top side.
That's a good way to start. Caleb taking absolutely viscerally low, but won't quite die. Tatui tries to play this one out as best he can. Shredder and Camera coming up best they can, but Tatui does get Caleb with the cannon barrage. It will come at the cost of his own life. Afterwards, though, Pawp has to run away. Everyone from MNM was around, but it gives a lot of time on the bot side for Mercer to try and push in for best he can.
How well has Sof been doing at punishing Singularity? It seems like every time there's an opening, oh, the free jungle camps, yeah, we can deal with that. Actually, Sof going in towards the top jungle.
Will be a 2v2, and it does kind of make that one a little bit more. Even the wards going down, though, are the really big difference. You can see it.
So I might have got a bit baited there, because I saw like some blinking around. I'm like, wait, that's a Heartbreaker. Then I realized, hang on, you've got Fiddlestick's body. That's actually a freebie. So he's just walking up and using that Heartbreak Strike to be for a free exit from that lane. So after all this is said, MNM take control of the top side of the map. Yeah, they lose that one kill, and that's a little awkward, but trade that back, and they get the collateral this time. They've lost the Heralds in their previous fights, but this time get themselves that top lane turret.
Do you hear that? That ticking noise coming from the top lane?
Monka W.
Oh, actually,
13 out of 16.
Yeah, I know. What does it mean? For reference, Caleb is heading towards a very dangerous point, namely the level 16, third rank of that ascension.
Time is a tool you can hang on the wall, or wear it on your wrist.
Or have it in your level.
The past is far behind us. The future doesn't exist.
Are you going to continue quoting?
No, there is a whole
YouTube
song
videos
related to that. I'm not going to dive too deep into the topic because it's actually really kind of creepy, but yeah.
I wasn't expecting... I thought I really should have been expecting Don't
Yes.
I'm scared.
Yeah,
Here we
it's
are.
been a long day. The longer we go into these, the crazier and deeper
Quite
into
nice.
the weird box of references the Hapgood brothers have. This is last game of the day, of
They're
course.
long and endless.
It's last game of the day, almost at the halfway point in the split. One more game to go before that first round robin is completed, and a reminder of those stakes. Of course, MNM would love to open up that gap at the bottom of the table. Have to try and get themselves anything on the board to give themselves just a hope in that second half to be playoffs contending.
Well, Singularity actually here with a 3,000, 2,500 gold lead. Got a lot of structures, are in a fairly okay position to fight, even if there is a pretty strong Viego to deal with. If Sof can be contained, there's some options. Bladewell will prevent that ultimate from getting too much done, though Camera chunked out. Might be somebody punishing. Shredder does a hook, and I'm not sure whether he actually wants to Sof burning down. Does get shut down as Mercer gets that huge pickoff. Now Mishigu trying to trade up, but is slowed down. Gets in with the Devil Trigger, Infernal Trigger. Will not going to be able to quite get that down, and he's dead as well as Mercer picks up that one. This guy coming in to slot into the mid lane in face of Piccione gets 2 critical kills.
One's a solo, and then Mishigu tries to hero play on the back end of that fight. But this isn't something that we talked about yet. Point and click fear from Fiddlesticks onto that Samira makes your game incredibly difficult. MNM, they don't end up stopping Singularity before this phalanx forms, before the combo arranges itself. They lose a dragon, they might lose themselves a herald off of, sorry, brother,
Baron, a little bit bigger than that.
Lose Baron.
Yeah, we've gone up in the nobility rankings. It's Barons we're talking with here. And Singularity with the jungler nowhere to be seen from Sof. Looking to try and get this one down to 1,900 HP. Secured, but now can they extricate themselves from the pit? Person in the back of it all could be so dead. Now Sof can start resetting. Mercer trying his best to tail with Camera, but there's just nothing to be done. Pawp doing his best to stay alive, but he is dead as well. Mercer now trying to run, but no flash, no hope. And it will be, in the end, a 3-for-1, but 2 get out with Baron.
It's still a win for Singularity, but it could have been more. They choose to maybe stick around. I think Mercer could have gotten away with it. Chooses to stand and fight, doesn't get enough down. A good never move from Camera saves his own life. And MNM, if they manage to break up a mid lane turret, they're not actually going to be able to do that. That would have been maybe even the scales a little bit. Allow them again to start taking control of some of that vision control, which is so critical to the way they play out these fights. Sof has been carrying quite the burden this game. 7 kills out of his team's 9. Been doing so much work. Again, really got to stress how much it is important that he's been punishing mistakes and, you know, making sure he's capitalizing on some of the sloppy execution of Singularity. But this time, Singularity, they do end up getting towards that Baron. Sloppy or not, they take that objective, get a kill on the back end of it, and that's the real takeaway. They get to use that Baron out, see what they can capitalize from that.
Shredder's Nautilus definitely having a rough time of it this game. Diving into all of this kind of AoE effect is pretty rough on the Nautilus indeed. And then you're right, Merz just can't find their way out, and Sof returned alive and a little bit angry having been caught out the last time.
The only deathless member now actually on Singularity is Spiky. Actually, speaking of that player, how much of a glow up this guy's had. Singularity is a team which has come in for a lot of development plays. Haven't really seen a lot of returns on that. Been a difficult journey for the org, but Spiky in particular, I think, has actually gained a lot from his NLC journey. At the start of the spring, he had a rough time of it. Now started 2-0-2. Not had the cleanest ultimates just yet, but still being a force in this game. See what he can do with the rest of this one, though. Rest of that Baron buff.
Calum shoving in the bot side is not here, is now onto the tier 2, but Singularity shoving in 2 lanes, trying to deal now with a Shredder and Sof off the one side. Cannon minion off that top end not being focused. Gonna see a quick reset to prevent too much more going down, but they'll take the extra global gold. It's an economy Baron, as yourself and a friend of ours, Rude Dude, like to say, and they will actually, honestly, now move themselves up to a fairly significant 4,500 gold lead.
That's meant that, of course, that some item completions are in. Talks about how hard it is to cancel out Spiky's ult if he's in the right position, if he's over a wall. Does 3 items on that ult now. You really can't afford to let that happen. So again, MNM can't really afford to take blind fights, which is going to hamper their ability to use this Viego in aggressive ways. Viego really does want to be trying to catch out targets, but if you're diving into someone and that MF ult comes over the wall, things get so dangerous. Also on the other side of the map from him, Tatui actually close to getting to that Infinity Edge plus cloaks to get himself to really dangerous damage in that front too.
I want to pick your brain here a little bit as well, because Spiky has gone toward...
Don't do that, it's my brain.
Right. Well, I'm picking it anyway, because I'm mean, apparently. Those are Swifty boots in the MF's inventory with this build.
Yes.
Discuss.
Don't need towards attack, don't need those Berserker Greaves, you just need to be positioning well, get across the map quicker, lots of things that can work for you, works with your W. Calum trying to get some kind of reprieve on the spot side, and they do.
Calum going to take a lot of damage and does have to put the Divine Judgment down. Big ultimate now traded the fear onto Sof, who walked into Pawp, channeling the ultimate now. Crow Storm! Not quite a murder though. I was talking about Swain and Never Move last time, but this time they force out a few flashes, but not too much more. And on the other side of the Rift, Camera trying to shove in and get some damage down.
And a cross map in some way, but again, you can kind of see MNM, they can't take blind fights at this point. You jump into a crosser to defend any area of the map. If you don't have that vision, things get really dangerous. Pawp lands a bit short on the Crow Storm, but still, you can see the thought process, and Singularity might actually be just on that verge of the first win they've been chasing for all of this first half of the split so far. Top side is getting awkward.
Camera in trouble here. Tatui, nearly the birthday boy, not quite there yet, looking to add a few numbers to his stats. That would be a great present for him.
And, we're going to talk about these teams yet again. It's Cloud Dragon coming up. It's Soul Point, not Soul for either of these teams. And MNM, they've had so many issues with this mid-game into late game. And seeing it again in this game, really struggling to capitalize on early advantages, on individual advantages. They got towards the objective first. They have some vision across here, but they've got ultimates to worry about in just a handful of seconds coming back up for Singularity.
And Tatui's decided he needs to wrap up nice and warm. Double crit cloak to top off that Infinity Edge. I think he's now at 100% crit if I've done my numbers right. Probably not, but either way, he's going to be hitting like an absolute truck with the barrels. They're going to try to burst down the dragon. Pawp goes in! What a Crow Storm! Goes gold, doesn't manage to go golden though, and now he's able to be stolen back. It's traded away.
Camera!
And what can Camera get done?
My God!
Divine Judgment afterwards as Mishigu goes wild! A triple kill after I thought Singularity had found the mother of all fights. It's turned around in style. S-rank!
Oh, MNM, and it's Mishigu that leads the charge. 4 kills under their belt. Singularity, they pull their ultimates, and honestly, they don't get much out of them. Crow Storm looks good, doesn't really do much apart from stack. Mishigu's ult gets 2 or 3 off of that. Again, Spiky, similar position. We talked about how important it is to see these Crow Storms and these bullet times doing well. Actually doesn't get much done for it. Can't defend the Misfortune's position. Mishigu pounces and takes down Singularity 4 men at a time.
That depth charge from Shredder knocked up 3 people.
Ridiculous.
Prevented Pawp, after what looked like the best Crow Storm we'd seen all game, from being able to Zhonya's. Huge moment there from the Nautilus, who'd actually been otherwise struggling a lot in this game. It's now very close. Singularity only at that 2,500 gold lead point. You've got level 16 on Calum, who's completion cost away from death cap.
Look
very
what's
scary.
Happening in mid, pulling around, using that vision they finally have.
Oh, they're certainly going to try. The Glacial Fissure comes. Shredder on the other side of that Misfortune. The bullet time stops time. time, the Doomsday Clock is deleted.
And when finally MNM get themselves a win, get themselves to a point where they can play around an area of the map where they get vision, they push too far, they get too cocky, and now suddenly, maybe Baron's on the table again. They can tank it forever with Fiddlestick's Drain. Can they stand and fight the pit though? Low health target, Sof. Gotta think he's gonna try and see what he can do with that.
Emma is in so much trouble. Goes golden, but there's a cannon barrage coming down on top of him. Barrels afterwards, make sure he is bird food. Straight for the worms is him, which is a little ironic considering he's supposed to be being friends with the Ravens. Took me a second to find the right statement there. Soft. Chunked. Michigan on the other side doing the absolute best. Goes in. So many low health bars. He can't do it again. But Sof has got reset after reset available. But he doesn't have enough. He's dead. Pawp goes golden, preventing another heartbreaker. Instead, it's Sof's own heartbreak that comes through. The Playboy takes a taste of his own medicine. Shredder is here alongside Caleb, though. And the Doomsday Clock is back. It ain't over till the fat lady with 6 wings sings. She goes over the wall for a double. One man gets to reset to tell the tale.
It's another disaster at Baron for Singularity. This one's so much worse than the last one. One member, Tatooine, gets to escape with that buff. Good turn at the start of this. Start to kind of solo out one side of the fight. Saw this in the game just before this. You start approaching from multiple directions. You can just snap of a finger, go towards that isolated target. I was so worried at the start of this because look at those low health targets. When you have execute champions like Viego, when you have collector builders on your team, it's so dangerous. Point and click stun just about buys time, but Sof not able to use the damage which you get from those resets to any real avail. Goes down so quickly, but Kalem to the rescue. That Kale, level 16, TikTok, Monk W, 16 out of 16. Some big old damage from the Kale.
Yeah, it's in the name. It's Kale plus M, and the M stands for murder, apparently.
It's a good one. I hadn't thought about that one.
I came up with it right then. I was quite happy with it.
Yeah.
Deathcap's in, by the way, now for Caleb as well, who was level 17.
There's level 17. Let's just do some housekeeping. Items have been completed.
Yes.
Which ones are really important? GA for Lucian, huge. That's one less soul which Viego can go towards. Then you've also got Edge of Night for Spiky. That's one extra cancel denial on your ultimate. So it means you can stand and maybe defend your position just a little bit more. See if they can keep a hold of that shield. Very, very important if Spiky gets that huge damage you get from late game. Misfortune off of that ultimate too.
Sof takes a massive barrel chain. Actually, he's in danger. He has to heartbreak over the wall. That's a big one as well, considering the Cloud soul points coming up pretty damn soon.
Speaking of that, MNM moving forced to defend their vision. Spiky going to keep control of that. An Edge of Night again, just keep checking if that shield is up. If it is up, MNM are going to be in such a difficult position. But MNM really trying to bring Singularity out into the open, away from their vision.
Doing their best here, and it's actually a little bit of a range discrepancy that's hurting them. The Make It Rain, the barrels, making it so difficult for MNM to actually close the distance in the way they want. They've got the vision control, and actually, Singularity might say, we don't care.
At this point, Singularity, I think you give it up. Just don't fall for this. Push mid, for sure. It's just a Cloud Dragon. To be honest, that extra movement speed doesn't really mean anything if they get caught up in your ults anyway. MNM are going to control that soul. It's a bonus for them. It is something. Singularity, I do think they make the right call, and they think, look, MNM have just bested us around the objective setup. They got there first. They got that objective. Let's just give it up.
Of course, you have now got Kale with the Divine Judgment, Viego, Swain, hell, even the Samira, all pretty good with Cloud Soul. Nominally, though, I completely agree with you. Is it going to matter when you're in the middle of all the circles of death that Singularity can put out?
It's like a metal concert. We've got all circle pits everywhere.
But probably vaguely, probably no pentakill skins, though I think probably a few of these champions would be happy to have one.
Oh, Viego.
You're right. I mean, that's dissonance of pentakill. Not quite.
All right,
it's
sorry.
It's like,
Pretender to the throne.
Yeah, exactly. It's the rival. Though I grant you, I'd kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah, so we have circle pits too. They just go counterclockwise. Whoa!
Yeah, that's it.
And yeah, that's the best thing, because of course we have a lot of Nordic countries in the NLC. There's a lot of metal lovers up in the Nordics,
yes.
so I feel pretty at home there, even though...
Where's the metal theme songs, guys? Like,
That's very true.
I am very down to
Ask
get
for Scandinavian Scrabble if anyone wants to put together a metal band and invite me
involved.
invite
Yeah,
us, invite Artron
sing, I
to
play
it. Be
keyboards.
happy with that one too.
Artron was playing like live on stage recently. Get this guy on the guitar, you won't regret it. There's content to be made, people, but also game-winning plays to be made. 2 minutes until what would be another Baron here as Pawp trying to secure this blue buff, but with the blue buff going the other way, kind of gave it away that there were some enemies in the bush over there.
See how important vision traps are in this game right now. MNM, if they push up a lane and they allow Singularity to kind of fall back and just kind of absorb them moving forwards and then try and pile onto them with their ultimates, very dangerous for MNM. We saw exactly what happened. Quadra kill. Wait, we pushed too far. We ended up dying to that combo. Singularity, on the other side of this, they don't really want to be making their own aggressive front foot plays as well if they don't have the ability to catch everyone they can. They don't want to be piling into Camera, turning around huge amounts of damage even in his own right now. It's not obviously full AP Swain like we've seen in many seasons past, but Swain is so annoying at this point. So many champions on this MNM squad. If they get stuck in, start doing DPS, it's really not something Singularity can deal with.
Minute until Baron. Mercer currently shoving up the lane in the bot side while Camera does the same on the other. Neither have the teleport though, which makes the split push game a little bit tricky. You need Tatui or Kalem to be doing it. And right now with a level 18 Kale, 4 items complete. Yes, you can clear the waves as GP, but
18 out of 16. There's an extra 2.
This is Doomsday. This is Doomsday 2 Boogaloo. That's what this is. It's extra Doomsday.
Okay, now look at
Doomsnight.
Doomsnight. God. Well,
as opposed
we
to
have
Doomstorm,
9
which comes at
champions
level
on the map.
19 in
Speaking
nerf.
of that, in the mid lane, speaking of this, look at the damage who can come up so quickly. So tentative are these teams approaching this. Such an important game for both of them, if in spirit, if nothing else. Tatui dodging out on the Spectral more. Again, a win here would mean so much for either team. Security for MNM, elation for Singularity.
Yes, that's some damage though. Massive ultimate! The bullet time makes Shredder a very appropriate name indeed. Michigu chunked out. That's the ultimate popped. Going in. Gets 2, but popped in turn. Singularity versus MNM. Now a 3v3. Mirza's got the ultimate left remaining. And I think it's still going.
It's
what
still
could
going.
happen? Flash with an ever reinforced flash out of Pawp.
And we are no closer to determining who's actually getting the death blow in this game. It's 2 apiece. You lose Michigu, Shredder on one side, Person and Tatui on the other. Maybe the HP bars being in favor of Singularity is what's actually going to be the big win from this, though. The remaining members from MNM can shred through this Baron, and you don't have the ultimates for Singularity to contest it just yet. You're looking on Mercer, a hope and a dream. Lucian, what can you do?
Spiky Pawp gonna try and get over here. So much damage back. That was actually a decent read. Pawp uses the protocol to try and escape, but now he's in danger. Has got a stopwatch and nothing else remaining. Pawp doing his best, but he's gone. He's done. They tried to contest, and the jungler dies.
It's just a bit of a disconnect. Don't have that. Zonya's in a perfect place, and even if you do pop that stasis, of course, they struggled so much to defend him. Mercer not in a position to dive forward and do the Lions' share of the work after that point. Diving into a Kale with a death cap, with a full AP build, is really not something you're going to be enjoying. MNM scrape their way through to a late game advantage. They're behind in gold. They do have that Baron's going to overlap with the Elder spawn so often in this meta. It has come off to that Elder. Started with Shredder pulling the trigger, thinking that they caught Lucian quick and early enough. Percy with the heroic save on the Braum. Does so much work to save the carries, and even with that, this fight just becomes a mess. It just becomes an utter mess. Michigu half a second away from just clearing up the entire team. Pawp buying just enough time on the back end to break things up.
Pawp was so close to getting Michigu before he got to go in there as well. That proto belt with the flash as well. He was desperately close. It's still a competitive game. It's a game that's 2,000 gold apart, if that. Full items now on the gangplank. I'm on the edge of my seat. You're on the edge of your seat, I am sure. Get the popcorn out. Get those hashtag NLC at home for next week.
Remember to breathe. That one's an important one.
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to have time.
Gonna go treat, trying to keep that advice for ourselves. Feels like it could be one more fight in it, but all of these fights have been going so even. You just don't know. Once again, it's back to that mid lane. It's trading off the wave push. Pawp has a proto belt to escape and to make it rain to buy some extra help. You can see how fragile these champions are. One misstep could mean life and death in this game. Could be a first win, could be a second for MNM.
A moment of stillness before the airwaves begin to sing once more, before the storm stops crashing. Mercer with an opening salvo there with the culling. Doesn't really get all that much done. 8 seconds until an Elder Dragon fight that will decide this game.
I love how MNM have been checking their flanks. They've been stopping Pawp from doing anything.
Barrage does a lot of work. That will be the play ball down. That ultimate's not great, but Kemmer on the
Camera
side.
up.
Caught a bit caught, but there's a Manic Ascension now up. Has to ghost away. On the other side, Tatui flashing back out. Doing the best shredder. Knocked up, but no much damage is coming through. No resets yet. Michigan to the backside. Gets two. Popping off a double for him. Another for Camera. And there's nothing left to be done. MNM win a late game fight. It's been a long time coming. It's been a hard-fought game, but they will secure the win.
The Elder doesn't even fall. Singularity once again around the Dragon. Don't get the ults they've needed. They can't quite land it, and they were this close to the first win of summer for them. They're going to be leaving with another dose of heartbreak, as this team so often has in the NLC. Heartbreak for Singularity. This org which has tried to develop, not today.
Elation for MNM. Tragedy for Singularity. What an entertaining game.
It has seemed like throughout spring and summer we've seen enough of this from Singularity, and this is a team which has had pluck to it. It's had a certain amount of character to try and weather these defeats, but defeats they've had to weather. On the other side, MNM, this is a team which has had its very low moments too. For them to open up a gap at the bottom of the table, even though we are just coming to that halfway point, it does mean a lot. These victories to separate you from that nearest rival, potentially with an increase in form, push towards maybe even playoffs at the end of it if they see a great run of form, means quite a lot at this point.
Does indeed. A very important win indeed for MNM, especially with the likes of relegation being a thing at the end of the season. But that's enough from us. Thank you. I'm going to need a chance to catch my breath. It's been a hell of a day of games. Fortunately, we have the analysts to deal with the end of the show.
Oh, trapdoor.
He was, yeah, he had to go a little bit lower.
That did not
He's
work
too
out the
tall
way you
for
intended,
these
man.
ones.
You imagine friend Viperuno and Jamada were trying to hide underneath the desk, and Viperuno clearly made zero effort to go underneath the desk, and you could see like half of his head.
I want to commit to that one. You have to fully commit. MNM, they broke the curse. They finally get themselves back on track. But it was
Yeah.
We had the struggler in this game. I felt like for the first time, I saw Singularity putting out a fight. The new mid lane, Mirza, absolutely smurfing it. I feel like he was a huge difference maker towards like all the other Singularity games that we have watched. And honestly, it looked like a little bit of a better execution in these teamfights with like the Misfortune and the Gangplank ultimates. And I feel like Singularity could have also pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to agree. I just feel so bad for them at this point. Like, they're just trying every single time to like get that just that first dub on the board. But MNM, obviously, they're going to be happy about this one as well, right? They actually managed to close it out for once.
Are they
So, I
gonna be
mean,
happy with
kudos
this
to them. Maybe not, but it's a start.
It's a start, okay. We get a W. How we get it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's just how
obviously
it works.
you leave this game with a W, but you have to think about the mistakes you've done and can you make those mistakes against enemy teams in the future, because we're about to wrap up the half of the entire split, which means you're going to get those rematches. So now you have to face JDXL, Bifrost, Astralis, and those are teams that don't allow you to make that sort of mistakes.
You missed one from the top, man. Riddle.
Riddle, yeah. How did you forget, man?
Can you even play versus Riddle? I don't know, but I do know the one that is with me on the interview. It is Sof, it is the jungler. Welcome. I mean, I think I've seen you before, like...
Yeah, just a few times.
Just a few times. I think we were talking about yesterday, right?
Yeah, no. Yes, yesterday for the challenge. Yeah, it was yesterday actually. Yeah.
Where you miss a Krog.
Man, you don't need the croc for level 4. Like, you guys are inting.
Wait, is that the infamous Listen Challenge top of the leaderboard guy?
It is the top of the leaderboard guy for...
I
You're the
inted
top.
so hard there. I'm the top.
Yeah, you're on the top.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But if
I'll take
someone ties with you and they kill the last Krog, you're out.
You're out, man.
it. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what they
Unlucky.
say. A wise
Okay.
man once said, "A W is a W."
A W
Same
is
with
a
this
W.
game, guys. Yeah.
Exactly like today. You faced off Singularity. It was a rough game, I would say. It was a rough game. They had a lot of AoE and a lot of wombo combo. What was the plan coming in from MNM to face these guys?
I mean, we just wanted to play our own game, I think. To be honest, we didn't know what to expect. They dropped different stuff every game. I think they caught us off guard with the fiddle. I hate this champ so much, man. Like, honestly, this champ is so stupid. Like, come on. If they want to beat MNM, just pick Fiddlesticks, guys. But yeah, it was a bit hard. Like, we didn't really respect him early game. I think he got a few ganks off. The game kind of got a bit out of control, and we had to recover a bit. But it was a banger. It was a banger for everyone to watch. So a W is a W. Finally, we're on the board.
And I don't know if Fiddlesticks is stupid when Volibear is open and it's not been picked. I'm just saying, or
But
something
Viego's,
like.
but Viego's supposed to be good, and then he takes Fiddlesticks and he cracks my sculling. Like, what? This trap is broken.
Sof, I want to ask you something like more serious about the team, right? Especially since you had the 3 back-to-back games where you guys snowballed, but you couldn't necessarily finish the game. Now, going up against a team that everyone else has beat pretty convincingly, does that add more pressure where you're like, okay, this is the breaking point. If we even lose to this team that everyone has beaten, something is really wrong?
I don't think so. If we would have lost, it would have been a disaster. But I think in terms of the game, I don't think we're sad that it was a close game. I think our last like 3 games, I think, have been sad, but we know that we can beat these teams. The games it's like one late game mistake a lot of the times. Granted, Bifrost did match us in early game, but we kind of brought it back. It's just been a few, it's small details here and there that could get us these wins. I don't think we're too sad about today. I think SNG played well, props to them, but I don't think this really shows like where the level we're at. I think teams kind of, I mean, we're not a real 2-6 team, I guess. Like, I'd like to think we're not anyway, right? We can take wins off the teams above us, which we're planning to do in the second round robin. We're still planning to get playoffs. I think it's definitely achievable. So yeah, I think spirits are high. We've got some work to do, and we're just going to put our heads down and focus on the next step.
And if I may, I'm going to throw a little curveball to you, Sof, if I may.
Yeah,
Last split, I'm looking into MNM the same way that I looked into Astralis in the previous split. They had the composition, they had the talent for that. They were getting the scrims going on, but there was always something that was missing. Do you believe that MNM could be the new Astralis? And if so, can you break the curse like they couldn't do in Spring Split?
I think we can break the curse. I mean, I didn't watch too much NLC last split. I wasn't actually in NLC for the first time in a while, but I heard that Astralis was like quite a slow team, right? I don't think we're necessarily slow. I think sometimes if we lose early game, the games can we just get stomped, right? But I think our other games, we play aggressive. We play, comms, which are looked at as aggressive, I guess. I don't think we're the exact same team, but I guess in terms of we're missing that one thing to end games, I guess we're similar in that aspect. But we're definitely working on that issue in scrims, and we're aware of it and we're trying to fix it. So I mean, I guess there are some similarities there, but we'll try to finish the rest of the second round robin on a high and get some wins on the board.
In all honesty, you have Michigo, and passive is not something that he knows. That's a word that is not on his
He
vocabulary.
does when he's on Ziggs. We said that Michigo has 2 modes, either Ziggs or Samira.
Yeah, do it.
He's either pissed chilling or he's all in,
Don't give him the Serac, okay? Bring him some damage on Michigo, okay? My boy knows how to do it.
I'll put Samira every game, don't worry.
Man. Thank you so much for this one, Sof. I'll see you soon. And congratulations on the first place on the Lee Sin Clear Challenge.
But now, who's the last one?
The last one, so far, I would have to check by. I think it's MC.
Okay. MC.
Yeah.
Int it.
So
Okay.
flame him on Twitter, man. Flame him on.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon, man. Thank you so much.
See ya, bye.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. He waves. He's fun. I like this guy.
I mean, yeah. who
Ashram
doesn't, right?
approved.
Ashram is approving this guy. I mean, it's nice to see him, even though the games were not, this game was not clean at all. They managed to come out with a dub, and I mean, it's nice to see a smile on his face, honestly.
And that is really important because on the last split, like I told, like Astralis and all that, and they were really depressed at the end of the split. This guy's not depressed. This guy knows what he's playing for. He knows how to fix this. So at least this brings me some sort of joy looking into this team that they have a way around the problem and they might be able to fix it before.
I mean, I don't think he should be, because even though they lost 3 games in a row that were in their own hands, they were in their own hands for a reason. I love how you mentioned Astralis, because I felt like the games from Astralis, they were never in their hands. Like, they were just being way too passive, not proactive at all. They just had no game plan. I feel like MNM are going into the games with a very solid game plan. And if it happens that they make one mistake and throw it in the late game, it just happens, but at least we know that they have a solid game plan, they know how to execute, and they do get their leads. One thing you need to learn how to fix is just close out the games, and that's it.
On the other side of the spectrum, though, we have to talk with Singularity, and I think Pawp is going to be with us for the interview, the one that played the fiddlesticks in the jungle. This could have been it, Pawp. That was so close, and this seems like a different sort of Singularity. Can you run me by not only the plan, but the new mid laner as well, and how it almost was your first victory?
Yeah, I think we struck some gold here. I mean, if you look at our match history, we're kind of trying different picks, different players, different compositions. So hopefully we're bound to hit something good. Fiddlesticks has always been, I think, like a really good champion. But it requires the whole team to kind of draft. You can't just put Fiddlesticks into everything like you could Viego. So we managed to find something, and it turned out okay. We're really close, but we're unable to finish it off, unfortunately.
Yeah, I actually want to talk to you a bit more about that fiddlestick as well. Is this a pick that you guys been... Obviously, you've been practicing in scrims, right? But you picked it kind of early as well. Is this something that it's fiddlesticks actually bind pickable? I mean, I've seen countless like NLC saying this, and LS is saying this champion is just turbo broken. But I feel like it's more of a niche one. Do you think that in this draft it just kind of fitted perfectly, even though it was picked so early?
So we've tried Fiddlesticks since we've started playing in like January, and it's always done relatively well. It just it kind of needs the whole composition around it is the main thing we notice. Is like after you get to a certain point in the game, if you have two AP champions, you kind of just get like ruined by Merc Treads because the whole champion kind of gets nerfed. So if you have something as Lucian mid, which previous mid laners haven't been so comfortable on, I'm playing on AP champions, so we've kind of moved away from it. I do think like my kind of hot take is you can probably like R1 Fiddlesticks every game and probably get away with it. There's a lot of things people do in a fiddle, like you saw, like they late invaded for wards, or they can bite everything as counterplay with fiddle because you don't have to start pots, you can start control ward and stuff like that. So there's a lot of interesting things with fiddle for sure.
So we talked to Sof about fiddlesticks, and he said, "Oh, this freaking champion is so annoying to play against." So on a scale, because you play the fiddlesticks, of 1 to 10, how annoying is fiddlesticks to play against?
Yeah, it's like extremely obnoxious. And I think there's a lot of those champions that people like don't like pull out in pro play, like fiddle, like even Eve. I think like has his spots. Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in being like obnoxious, you know, because like if you're in fog with fiddle, you can't play side lanes. Like there's one time where they didn't know where I was, and both their side laners, both top and bot, had to play really far back. And those kind of things can kind of like build up in your mind. It's like, why is Fiddlesticks like stopping me from farming my melee minions? And they can kind of take a toll on players. So yeah, I think Fiddlesticks is pretty annoying.
So 8 or 9 out of 10?
Yeah, I'd give it a 10.
Okay, cool.
A 10, so you know what you're playing with. And now that we're talking about playing with, I want to understand how is Merza fitting into the team, and how is Singularity looking right now to you?
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes going on this week, and there will be next week.
Okay.
It's actually my last game for Singularity as well. So
You?
yeah, so there'll be a different jungler coming in next week. So we'll have to see what the changes are. But I think, yeah, I'm pretty positive, and yeah, wish the team the best for the future of the team.
Hey man, it was a pleasure to have you at NLC, regardless of what
thank you for
happens.
having
And you always brought a smile to our face in every single interview. You always showed up. You never failed us. And I don't know what the future brings, but thank you so much for being part of the NLC.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pawp.
You're amazing. One last goodbye, at least.
Oh my God,
Oh, I got so sad.
Oh,
now.
no.
I was emotional. No.
it wouldn't have been a banger if you went out with a W, you know?
You brought in the fiddlesticks with a party as well, with a party skin. And you went out with a banger.
Yeah, that's a definition of it, right? I mean, just nice to see him quite happy. I mean, obviously, felt like kind of emotional about that, talking about the team and everything, which is obviously understandable. But it's nice to see him actually show up on the interview, you know, week after week, even though they're kind of losing.
Every single time.
It's just really respectable, and I big up to you, Pawp.
Not everyone can do that.
No.
I mean, most of them just leave me stranded by myself.
Even when
in
they
the
win, they're
interviews.
like, oh, it's Ashram again, I'm leaving.
Yeah, so maybe we need someone else to do the interviews, but we need to look also into the standings to understand how the day affected these little boys. There we go on that screen. JDXL still undefeated. Riddle now undisputed on second place, with Astralis and Bifrost following them from behind. Dusty and X7 face to face, while Naruki are going to lower one spot. Varnier raising one. MNM Gaming get an additional one, and Singularity almost finishing half of the entire split without a single victory.
Oh, wait. our producer literally said to us, we have perfect symmetry back, and we do. 8008 6226 533544. Goldberg would be so
Yes.
happy to see
Somewhere
this.
in the world, there's a Goldberg saying, that's all things should
Someone
be.
screenshot that and send it to Goldberg. We achieved perfect symmetry again.
Well, that is lovely, but he's now part of the LFL, so he left us. No, I'm kidding. I already
In the region we're gonna beat in the Masters?
Oh, once again.
I'm watching you, Goldberg.
You know why? Because right now we're gonna show you the play of the day presented by MasterCard, and we'll show you why we are the best region in the ERLs. DJ, roll the tape.
Damn. That was nice.
That was clean, just like
Thank
this
you very
game. Double.
Riddle guaranteed to go to UMass apparently because
Guide me
his
through
play was
this.
insane. We have Jack Splank being an absolute nuisance in the side lane, and even though Astralis committed 2 of their carries on that side lane adventure, they lose respect. Jack Splank keeps pushing, and at this point, Astralis have to commit more members to going back to base, which gives a pretty free Elder Dragon over to Riddle, which they utilize to finish this game. And oh my god.
Oh, that fail flash actually
And
was...
then he's gonna
that
get
was
on
the
the
watch.
gate.
That is
See ya.
so nasty.
Oh my god. That is nasty. I mean, just looking at that play as well, kind of showed what we talked about on the desk as well, is that Riddle kind of learned throughout the game how to play their side lanes kind of properly. And you're seeing Jackson being an absolute menace, as you mentioned on the side lane there. I mean, just kind of sums up the game perfectly.
And it's a lot of confidence giving you to your top lane. I mean, we can fight the Elder Dragon. Just do your thing, man.
Yeah.
We got to finally get some sort of top lane split push. But also, we do get to see the schedule for next week. I would like to see what games we're going to have on week 5, day 1. JDXL facing off versus MNM. It's going to be a rough one as well for Noriki versus Riddle. Now, Astralis Talent versus Dusty. That is going to be a good one, as Bifrost are going to take Vanir, and at the end, Team Singularity with a new jungler will face off versus X7.
So I'm looking a lot in the middle of this group, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and I feel like this is usually the mix that we will be looking at, right? Yes, XL are exciting to watch when they play, but it's like whatever. Even if you beat them, they're still first in the standings. But right here is where the huge shuffle begins, right? Because one victory, one defeat can move you up or down in the standings really quickly.
Yeah, just looking at Dusty, right? Obviously, they didn't get the dub today, but if they can do that next time around, as you mentioned, since the kind of the symmetry we have going on the standings is just so perfectly. If you just get one dub, can mean that you're moving up 1 or 2 places in the standings. And I mean, this is what's so exciting about NLC the split as well, right? Is that every team can kind of beat everyone, except for Singularity. I'm sorry, guys, but I had to do it to you. But other than that, it's just super exciting to see all the teams like kind
It's
of
the
clashing
opposite
out.
from the old saying from Fnatic. Everybody wins versus everybody, and at the end, Fnatic wins. The old saying, the opposite for Singularity. Everybody wins and everybody wins except Singularity. Well, see what happens when the changes come through for the next week. The last one before the end of the first half of the split. And before we look into that, I need your words on this week. What did catch your eye on week 4?
I think the one thing that caught my eye is the fact that I think XL cleaned up their game very much. So like now they look undefeated and dominant while they hadn't for so long. I feel like Riddle have solidified themselves as a very standout second. And I think Namera said it on the caster desk as well. I think these two are a cut above the rest, and the other teams are going to have to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree on that point for sure. I think what I'm looking at is just Astralis kind of being consistent in the mid to late game. Obviously, we talked a lot about this today, right? And yeah, I mean, just kind of nice to see that the teams are actually kind of learning how to play their mid game and late game as well. And on the other side, I'm just looking at I'm so disappointed by Dusty. Obviously, this is a team that I just love to see these guys play, and I really hope that they kind of step up for next week, because this week looked kind of
biased at
subpar. Yeah, not biased at all. I'm
They
just
sent
saying.
you a jersey as well.
Actually, I mean, you should, guys. ASAP, I can give you my address. Just
Hit
DM me
him
on
up
Twitter.
on social media. Doku, please pop on.
Again, with the social guy on the social media. Doku, do your job, I guess.
Now I'm plugging MTES.
Yeah,
social
thanks.
Again, and
media.
Tez on that
Thank
one
you.
as well. From my side, I would like to thank you, everyone on the other side of the screen, for watching NLC, the best ERL, and to thank you, Trouble, by the way, and you as well for joining us during this week. Tez,
Also,
you are really
I would like to thank Namera because I wasn't feeling well and he jumped into the cast for me. So
MVP.
thank you for that, MVP. For sure.
even though he's a main Ari, he's a cool guy, just like you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week on week 5 for the Northern League Championship. See you guys. Have a nice one.
It's Wednesday, my dudes.